Good morning. I hope everyone has had a wonderful new year. Welcome to 2024 and today's first official recording of the new year. And so with that, today for our Living in God, the podcast, we are going to do something a little bit different. And so I have decided, or it's been laid on my heart to write a love letter to my 2024 self from my 2023 self. And in this love letter, I'm just sharing some of the things that I've learned in 2023 with the 2024 version of me. And the next time I read this or, kind of go through this again, it will be the end of 2024, in which case we'll be able to see the growth, the progression. Maybe I'll look the same, maybe I won't, maybe I'll be in the same place, maybe I won't. Who knows? This is an opportunity for God to completely paint a new picture on each of our canvases. And so I encourage you to do the same. It was actually very refreshing to just write out a letter to myself, because we're always, focusing on other people, or, I'm writing a letter to my boyfriend or to my man, or, you just always trying to fight for or love on other people. But in this situation, in this moment, I was able to just love on me. And so here we go. Again, I hope that this encourages someone else to perhaps write a love letter to yourself for 2024 as well. All right. Dear Nikia, hey girl. As you write this letter on the second day of the year 2024, you are a little hesitant because you aren't really sure what to say to your future self. The next time you read this letter, it will be December 31st of the year 2024, and that's 364 days from now. A lot can happen in 364 days. Before, you used to take the days of the year for granted, but now you have a renewed appreciation for every single day. Today, as you write this, you have a grateful heart and you are filled with hope, but you are also saddened by some of the people around you who don't really see you. But you are learning to live in God and accept what He allows. You grew up a lot in 2023 and you healed from hurts that you'd been carrying for way too long. Here's a list of some of the things you learned in 2023. You are enough. You don't have to be liked or to be liked by others. You are who you are, the way that you are, is more than enough. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. You don't have to be a people pleaser to be loved. Love should come because it just is, not because you have to be a certain way, say a certain thing, agree to a certain thing, respond to a certain thing in order to be loved. Love is what love is. And you don't have to please people just so you can feel love. You can be You can be happy and single at the same time. You don't need to cling to a man or feel as though you are not capable if you don't have a husband or a man to lean on. You are enough. You learned how to develop communications with your children that works for you and them. And you're learning how to be a stronger mother and identifying the love language of London and Trey and speaking to them in the places and the ways in which they need and they feel loved the most. You learned that trusting in God is the only way. You tried it on your own. Girl, that was a hot mess. You was doing all kinds of crazy stuff that you look back like, what was I thinking? Yeah, that part. And you know what we're talking about. But when you figured out that without God, you are nothing, but with God, you can do any and everything that He places in your heart, you became unstoppable. So you learned that trusting in God for your life is the only way. You learn to value yourself and not just settle for the bare minimum. You learned that God will give you the things you need even when you didn't know that you needed it. I learned so many times that God shows up in ways in which I would never even have imagined, that He has both used me to show up for people and He's allowed people to show up for me. And it has just been such a refreshing and such a rewarding experience to be able to just watch God do the things that I couldn't even ask for, do the things that I didn't even know that I needed, didn't know how to articulate it, just feeling stuck. And then God, sends the right person to call or text or just be present. And that has been amazing. You learn how to truly pray and sit in with God, not just the generic prayers, God bless my home, bless my family, bless my car, bless my job, bless my. Those prayers are okay. There's nothing wrong with those prayers, but you have learned how to tap into that prayer warrior and dig in deeply into what God is laying on your heart and soaking in the Spirit. And that, girl, that's pretty good. And so I'm proud of you for that. Let me see here. You learned how to hear from God and be obedient even when the directions are scary. You did some things in obedience to God this year, aka having this conversation on screen and then posting it. You never liked to be on camera. You barely could even listen to yourself speak. You didn't even like the sound of your own voice. But here you are, looking at yourself, recording yourself, opening yourself, exposing yourself, and feeling confident in who you are, the way that you are. You don't have to be all made up. You don't even have on any makeup right now, but girl, you still cute. And that's a lot of growth right there. You became more confident in yourself because you grew more confident in the God that lives in you. You found your voice. You fell in love with you. You learned that material possessions do not define you or make you happy. You learned that the things that mean the most to you are genuine love and acceptance. You learned how to cheer for your loved ones and give of yourself from a pure and genuine heart. You learned that no matter what the enemy throws at you, your strength and resilience is greater than you know. You learn how to look your enemy in the eye and not be moved because the God in you is so much greater. You learned what it means to wait with grace. You learned how to wait on God. You learned how to allow things to happen in His timing and in His way and not the way that Nikia orchestrated it to be. You learn how to simply stand and let God have his way. And whether or not you agreed with it, whether or not you liked it, whether or not it felt good, you learned that God is in control and his way is the only way and it is the best way. And we have moved into a new realm, a new understanding of who God is in your life. All right. These are just a few of the lessons you learned, but more so, they were discoveries of yourself that you would not have known unless you did the things that God told you to do. If it wasn't for you being in that dark place or that foreign arena where you were trying to be something that you weren't, or trying to accept something that wasn't for you, had that not been there, you would not know the experience of feeling God's presence come into you, and you have that aha moment like, God, I don't want this. This is not what I want. This is not it. But had you not made those bad choices, you wouldn't be able to experience that aha moment. And so there's always a lesson, even in the bad choices and the things that we go through. God uses it all for our good. So every left turn that should have been right, every up that should have been down, every down that should have been up, God will still use all of those things to make you into who he created you to be and to get you into the position that he wants you to be in. And I learned that firsthand this year in 2023. Nikia, what else did you learn? In May of 2023, you left a job because your assignment there had been completed, and you heard the voice of the Lord and trusted in God to lead you the rest of the way as you embarked on the revitalization of your business, Sweet Indulgence Mini Dessert Bar. And while the business was seeing a great amount of success initially, for reasons only God knows, the sales began to decline, and all that you had saved became depleted as you did your best to generate new income. You opened an adorable little dessert boutique, which looked and felt like a dream come true. But for reasons that only God knows, due to the lack of revenue, you had to use the revenue generated from your boutique to pay your rent at home. Thus, you did not have the rent due for your boutique. And so now your boutique, your lovely, sweet, adorable boutique is on hold. But you are hopeful and you trust the plans of God, even when they don't make sense to you. Somehow, I just don't believe that God would allow me to build up in such a phenomenal way with this dessert boutique just to let it die abruptly. But whether that is his will, his ultimate will or not, either way, I'm good. If we're able to reestablish and open up and continue on, wonderful. If it was just a season and a moment in time, that's fine too, because I've learned in 2023 that if God ain't in it, I don't want it. If he's not there, I don't want it. If he didn't send me, I'm not going. If he didn't tell me to say it, I'm not saying it. If God is not fully and completely present and in control of it, count Nikia out. And so that has been a remarkable life lesson as well for 2023. Girl, you literally built an entire business platform in a matter of months. Literally, from May to December, you did a heck of a lot, my dear. You got licensed as a caterer, operated your business in a commercial kitchen, attended major networking events throughout Baltimore. You held tastings of your desserts. You opened a boutique. You did multiple weddings. You were chosen to provide the sweets for the Baltimore Museum of Arts, which was a very wonderful and unexpected experience. You were able to service literally thousands of desserts. You sold thousands of desserts in just a few months. And the only person that was creating these desserts is you. You did all of that on your own, and you should be proud of yourself, Nikia, for what you accomplished in such a small window of time. Multiple weddings. You did the Baltimore Museum of Arts, and you attended a desserts competition. I mean, come on now, a competition. Like, you actively applied to be a part of a competition for your desserts. Hundreds of people were in attendance, and you placed in the top 25. That's also pretty phenomenal. Not to mention, you were also selected for a TV show for entrepreneurs as well. So just know, girl, that you were doing your thing, whether or not other people see it, whether or not it turned out the way that you thought it would in this moment. You were doing your thing, and be proud of yourself for what you were able to accomplish. You drove 13 hours to Atlanta with your kids, and you came in the top 25. You taught London and Trey about running a business and hopefully planted seeds in them about business, responsibility, having goals, having faith in yourself and in God, customer service and importance of it, being creative and exploring your creative side, and believing in yourself. These are all seeds that hopefully were planted into London and Trey, that maybe one day they will pick up the torch and carry on with the family business, or maybe they will establish a business of their own, or maybe they will have hopes and dreams of something that is bigger than them. And because they saw mommy going after her dreams, they know that they too can go after their dreams, whatever it may be. This year, you also cried a lot of tears, girl. You cried a lot this year, like a lot. You cried over the loss of things. You cried over the loss of people in your life. You cried over painful hurts and learned truths about people that you love dearly. You cried tears of disappointment and frustration for things that you could not control. You cried tears of loneliness and rejection, but you also cried tears of repentance and tears of joy. You cried tears of gratefulness and tears of strength. As you write this letter, you believe that the tears you cried in 2023 was just the nourishment needed for the garden of joy that God is about to reveal to you. You don't know what this year will bring, but you feel excited about it in a way that you have never felt before. In 2023, girl, you got your dance back. You were able to dance in any situation. You could dance around in your bedroom, in your underwear, and not have a care in the world, even though everything outside of your control, outside of your realm is exploding. But yet you still had your joy. And that is also a remarkable stride for you, Nikia, because there's a time when facing the situations that you are facing or that you have been through this year, and the losses and the disappointments and the rejection, those things would have typically sent you down into a spiral of darkness, of hopelessness, and it would have caused you to retreat. But instead, you found joy in the midst of it, and you learn what it truly means to have a peace that surpasses your understanding, where I haven't a clue how things are going to work out. I don't know from right to left if any of this is going to be okay in a time frame in which I'm hoping it will be. Not a single clue, but I have peace. I have joy, and I'm not sitting here crying. I'm not sitting here, woe is me, Lord, why is it always me? Lord, when is this going to change? Nope. I have faith and trust and hope and a belief in God that really does not even make sense. I just do. I just believe. I just have faith. I just have faith. It just is. It is what it is. There's no other way to describe it. It's a peace that surpasses my ability to understand it. And that is the peace of God. I keep going off on these tangents, then I lose my place where I'm reading from. You cry tears of gratefulness and tears of strength. Let's write this letter. You don't know what this year will bring, but you feel excited about it in a way that you have never felt before. In 2023, you got your dance back. You discovered that no matter how bad it may seem, the Lord is always with you, so you still have a reason to dance. Here's some things I want you to know as you go into this new year with a blank canvas as God begins to paint the greatest portrait of your life. God sees you, He hears you, He loves you, and you are never alone. You may not be physically with people, but you are not alone. You may get into bed at night by yourself, but you are not alone. God is always with you. In actuality, you have a village. You have people outside that are rooting for you and praying for you. And those people see you. The people who are supposed to be there, they see you. If the relationship with the people around you is only predicated on you always making the first call, then they are not really interested or invested in you. So, Nakia, just let go. If they can so easily remove you from their life, you were never a part of their life to begin with. So, just let go. If you are always the first to apologize or initiate reconciliation, then that person or people are not committed to the relationship or to you. So let go. You found, Nakia, that you have a humble heart and you are not above apologizing. You are not above being accountable. You are not above recognizing your wrongs, or even if you don't feel that you were wrong, you're not above going to someone and acknowledging their feelings and their perception and owning that. You know how to do that, and you have grown in that area in a significant way, and God is proud of you. God sees you. But unfortunately, you don't really seem to get that in return from others, and that hurts you. I'm not even gonna lie. That hurts you when nobody ever feels like it's okay to come back to you and say, I'm sorry. But it's okay, because my Father in heaven, He's got me. He's with me. He sees me and He knows everything. He knows my heart. He knows my intentions. He knows my desires. He knows my needs. He knows it all. And so whether or not I ever get an apology or I ever get, someone to come back to me and say, I'm sorry that I hurt you. I'm sorry that you felt that way. I'm sorry. it is what it is. But you, Nikia, learn how to give it regardless of whether or not you receive it in return. So be proud of that. Okay. If they can only, well, it's the same thing. If they can only see their hurts but can't see yours, it's time to let go, Nikia. You don't have to live up to the expectations of anyone but you and God. You do not need the validation or approval of others to be in the will of God concerning you. You know your journey. Nobody knows your journey, your story better than you. Nobody can tell you how to live your life better than you. Nobody can tell you what you are supposed to do better than you and God. You have a direct connect. You know how to go straight to the Father. You know what he tells you. You know what he has for you to do. So you just do it, Nikia. And despite what anybody else has to say, girl, you got this. All right. Well, see, I keep preempting myself. Next one is, you know and hear the voice of God. You will make mistakes. Yes, because guess what? You are still a human being. That has not changed. And there is no such thing as a perfect one. There is only but one perfect one. And he died on the cross, then rose up the third day, then went to heaven, and we're waiting for him to come back. So until he come back, none of us are perfect. So you will guarantee make mistakes, Nikia. You won't always get it right. But you serve a God who will always make it right in the end. You may not get it right, but he will make it right in the end. You will make mistakes, but your mistakes do not make you a failure. So don't let anyone tell you that they do. Forgive yourself and just let go. Mistakes happen. Move forward. You don't have to make yourself small just to keep the peace. You have a tendency, Nikia, to just be quiet, not say anything, accept the bare minimum. Just be content with whatever it is anybody's willing to give, because at least it's something. You have a tendency to make yourself small in order to maintain someone else's happiness or someone else's peace. And that is not healthy for you. So you, Nikia, have to learn how to continue to use your voice. And you cannot control the outcome. You cannot control the reaction of others. You cannot control any of those things. But you can control the fact that you are advocating for yourself, that you are fighting for yourself, and that if someone truly loves you or truly cares about you, then they will hear what you have to say, and you won't have to always be the one playing small or being small or shrinking yourself down or not articulating your needs or your wants or your desires or what is important to you simply to keep the peace. That's not a healthy, balanced relationship in any form. Some kid, you need to, I'm hoping that by the end of 2024 that you will have gotten a lot stronger and a lot better in that area of simply speaking your truth, regardless of whatever the outcome may be, so long as you are respectful and considerate and courteous. And if you say the wrong thing or you offend someone, you are still willing to apologize. But apologizing and acknowledging someone else's feelings does not mean that you have to shrink in order for them to forgive or to move on. So remember those things, Nikia. Know that it's okay for you to love from a distance, that love does not have a proximity, that you can love with all your heart and will wish all the best and pray for and truly love people but you don't have to be next to them every day. You don't have to be in their space. You don't have to be around them all the time. And it's okay to love folks from a distance. Here's a couple things I want you to know for sure. If you don't want to go, don't. Don't force yourself to go somewhere or to do something or to be somewhere that you are uncomfortable, simply because, again, you're trying to keep the peace, or you're trying to appease someone else. You're trying to make someone else happy. You don't want to go. If your gut instincts, your intuition says don't go, don't go. On that same note, if you don't want to answer, don't. It's your phone. If you don't want to answer it right now because you are not in the mental space to hear or receive whatever maybe on the other end, or you're just in a quiet, I'm going to keep to myself mode, that's okay. It's all right. You don't have to answer every single time. There's a text, there's a voicemail, there are ways in which to still communicate. So if you don't want to answer, don't. It's okay. You're fine. It's all right. It's okay to choose you and to protect your peace in whatever way that means for you. Let go of the guilt of feeling like you have to explain and justify yourself to others. Be proud of you and celebrate you, Nikia. Love on London and Trey, because you are the greatest example of relentless love they will ever see on earth. The love you give them now is the love they will seek out and give to others later. So love on London and Trey the way you wanted to be loved on at their ages too. You are actively breaking generational curses, and understand that the enemy is not happy with that. So you must be able to see when it's an attack of the enemy to get you off track and off focus, and know how to turn to God when you see that it is an attack. You have discernment. Start using your discernment to know, to recognize the patterns and know how the enemy works, and know what he uses and who he uses in your life to impact you and to get you off course. And once you recognize it, you stay the course no matter what. Nikia, the one thing you desire the most is companionship, not convenientship. So stop settling. Do not settle for the bare minimum. Do not settle for, well, at least they showed up, or at least they did this. You deserve more than, well, at least. Those who are meant to be there and be in your corner and be around you and love you and be in love with you, they will show up because they want to. They will be there because they want to. They will think about you because they want to, not because you beg them to, not because you put all of your cards out on the table and they still hold in their hand. The person and the people that are supposed to be in your life will show up for you when you need them to, and you don't have to force them. You don't have to beg them. You don't have to justify anything to them. The people who are for you, and that is just what it is. And love that. Love on that. And hold yourself up to a standard of, this is what I deserve. And if it's not meeting the expectations of what I know I deserve, girl, let go. Nikia, I love you. And I love the evolved woman of God that you are becoming. You carry a grace and a light that no one else can match. You will be going into dark places that only you can bring forth the light. But that's because God trusts you. He loves you. When you read this again, or when you see this again, this version of Nakia is not going to be here. This 2023 version won't be here. Because the 2024 Nakia is going to be a true force to reckon with. So be sure to journal and record this brand new experience in God and who He desires you to be. Because eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, and neither has it entered into the hearts of men the great things that God has prepared for you, girl, for you. And He is going to use this year, 2024, as the year of your exposure, your elevation, and exceeding your expectations. So hold on to that. Remember that. And I will see you next year, 2025. Until next year, be blessed, Nakia. I love you. I love you dearly. You are becoming everything that you know that you are capable of, because you are trusting and you are living in God. And as long as you live in God, He will live in you. All right. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to Living in God, the podcast through marriage, business, and family. Until next time, keep living in God. Bye.